Hello, my name is Kyle Montgomery. Today I'm going to talk about the Xero integration with OwnerGo. Xero is an innovative accounting platform that allows your community to use hundreds of apps and connected payment providers to automate many things in your community. It allows your residents to pay their bills online and gives your board members visibility of all the finances in your community. Let's get started.
This video is created under the assumption that you do not have an OwnerGo account, so today we're going to get started by creating a new OwnerGo account, and I'm going to show you how to connect it to your Xero account. To get started, click this Create Community Website button. Today I'm going to type in a sample community name. It is a co-op, and the postal code is 94104. I'm going to type in my information here. Click Finish. And voila, your community is now created. So go ahead and log into your community by pressing this button. Temporary password through the email address that you entered. So I'm going to go ahead and enter that temporary password in right now. And log in. Now it prompts you to change your password as soon as you log in, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Now I'm typing in a kind of a weak password now. I anticipate deleting this account later, so I'm not worried about creating a strong password at this time. So I'm going to go ahead and save that and then agree to the terms and conditions. Now it's asking me to verify my information on this screen, so I've already done that. I'm going to go ahead and go to the home page here and go to the Manager dashboard. Generally, when you're setting up a community, you would go into the website settings area and you would review each of these tabs and make sure everything's filled out properly. To save a little time, I'm going to go ahead and create some sample residents in the community and sample units. So there's a small function down here. If you know about it, you can go ahead and click on this button right here, this link. This will set up some sample homes in the community just to kind of let you demonstrate the website. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to click Add Sample Units. So it's created these sample units called Sample 1, Sample 2, Sample 3 through Sample 10. This just fills in some kind of sample resident information so we can kind of play around with the website a little bit. So now we're in the directory. You can see all these samples here. This unit here called Manage is the property manager. That's myself. And the first thing I'm going to do is designate Sample 1 as the board member. The board member would be responsible for voting for votes such as invoice approval or assessment changes. So I'm going to click on Sample 1, and then I'm going to go Edit Owner Information. Go down here, there's a section here called Role. So click on this and click Board Member, and then go to the bottom and click Save Changes. Okay, so now we're ready to connect our OwnerGo community to our Xero account. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Accounting and then Financials. This is going to be the accounting dashboard, and this kind of gives you a little bit of overview about the Xero platform and how it integrates with OwnerGo. Essentially, there's many features here, and I'll go over these real quick. Number one, residents can view their account balances and billing history. Residents can pay their assessment right from OwnerGo, and you can use a variety of payment processors that are hooked up to this Xero payment platform. So they have a whole marketplace of payment providers. This allows you to choose the best one for your community, one that has the lowest fees or perhaps the features that you want. Maybe you want credit card processing. Maybe you don't. Maybe you only want the ACH processing, which tends to be more economical. And dues are automatically assessed to each homeowner each month on the day you designate. Automatic late fees are assessed if you choose. There's an initiation fee feature, which allows you to, when a new owner is registered with the system, it will assess them a initiation fee. There's a violation tool which allows you to issue violations, and those are automatically assessed fees to the residents. There's a dues change tool which allows you to change the dues based on a variety of factors, including the square footage of each of the units or percentage ownership of the property. You can issue one-time assessments. You can issue assessments based on your financial need. If you want to generate $30,000 of assessment income, you can state that in your goals, and OwnerGo will automatically calculate based on a number of factors what the assessment for each unit would be, and then that assessment is sent to the board for their vote. They will vote on the assessment, and then once they approve the vote and the vote passes, then the assessment will be applied to your community. Of course, anytime a homeowner changes their information, like their email address or their address, that is synced up with Xero automatically. So your accounting system is always up to date with whatever contact information the resident enters in the system. Board members have some visibility of the accounting system, including some of the popular reports such as account balances and budgets. They can look at vendor bills. There's vendor information is synced between OwnerGo and Xero, so if you add vendors or make changes to the vendor information in OwnerGo, it will sync up to the accounting system. Like I specified before, there's an automated board vote tool, which for certain things the board can vote on certain things like assessment changes or invoice approval. And once it's approved, then that action will be taken within Xero. Reserve study tool allows you to enter in your reserve studies from multiple years and compare it to your current budget. It allows you to plan ahead for your reserves and make sure that you're on track with your savings and goals with the reserves. And as I mentioned before, there's hundreds of add-on apps that you can obtain through the Xero marketplace and enhance your accounting experience with Xero. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and hit the Connect to Xero button here. And it will take you to a login screen here. Now, normally I'd be logging into Xero, but I'm actually already logged into my Xero account. So it's basically asking me to authorize the integration between OwnerGo and Xero. So I'm going to click Allow Access. And this will take me back to the OwnerGo account, and now I can see the accounting dashboard. The accounting dashboard can be obtained on your home screen by clicking on the accounting link or through the accounting menu on the left-hand side here. You notice there's a number of different reports that you can view right here at the top. Click on Balance Sheet, and this will show your current balance sheet with your OwnerGo site. Now, this accounting account here is kind of a dummy account. There's not really any real information in there. I've just created it for the purposes of this demo. So keep that in mind when you're looking at some of the numbers on the screen here. There's the profit and loss screen, which allows you to see what's due and what's yet to be paid, like unpaid bills, that kind of thing, liabilities. There is the budget, which allows you to see how much over or under the current budget you are for various years. You can click on the side arrows here to view various different years in the system. Now, if you click on the invoice approval link, there's no invoices to approve right now, but this would show all the invoices in the system that are waiting for approval. I'm going to show you how to create a bill from a vendor, and we're going to go through the approval process on the screen here in a moment. So maybe to get started, I'm going to go ahead and go to the sync screen here, and this will perform an audit on your OwnerGo Xero integration. So maybe before I start that, I'm going to go ahead and create a vendor in the system, so when I do the sync, it will actually sync them up. Now, as I create vendors, because it's already connected, anytime I create a vendor, it is going to sync it up automatically. So I'm going to go ahead and type in a vendor. Let's just type in AT&T. They provide telephone services here, so I'm going to select this as utility. I'm going to give them a rating, and then I'm going to list a contact here. I'm going to just hopefully I can service. All right, so once you set up a vendor, you don't really have to do anything more with this. This would be the billing address. Let's type in some dummy information here. And then you can also type in the federal tax ID. I'm going to just type in sample value and click add. So now we have the AT&T vendor in our system, and if you go to your Xero account and you go to contacts, go to all contacts, you'll see AT&T as a vendor here. There's nothing listed here, but just to show you a little bit of the functionality, I'm going to go ahead and enter a bill for AT&T. So we're going to go here and select bill. I'm going to select the due date. Let's put it out about 30 days. And then we'll type in the invoice number here. Oh, we already have an item selected in our inventory here, the phone bill. So I'm going to go ahead and enter a quantity. And let's say the bill was $69.97. And then we can select the account here. I'm going to go ahead and just select a random account here. This is kind of a dummy accounting system. So instead of approving this, obviously the person entering the bills has the option of whether to automatically approve the bill or to send it to the board for approval. So I'm going to go ahead and save this and submit for approval. Now, if I go back to my AT&T vendor here, I can click on this, and now there's a invoice here. Now, before we click approval, I'm going to go to my settings here, go to accounting dashboard and go to settings. This allows you to set the various parameters of the Xero OwnerGo integration. So let's go over this real quick. So first of all, do we want to set a monthly assessment to our residents? And yes, so I'm going to go ahead and click this checkbox. Let's say we want to bill them on the 5th of the month. And then this allows us to pick which income account in Xero we want to apply that income to. So I'm going to go ahead and click uncategorized income. Let's do other income. I'm going to click this. We can charge a late fee, so I'm going to click this. And let's say it's due on the 25th of the month. And let's say we charge them $30 as a late fee. We can also do a percentage of the what's due owed, but let's say you want 30% as well on top of the $30. You can do it that way, but we're just going to leave this at 0. And then let's put this under uncategorized income. You can set it to a different account for a late fee. Maybe you have a separate account for late fees to kind of separate it from your general income. You can also charge an initiation fee. This is set up the same way. I'm not going to change that right now. What I wanted to get to related to our AT&T bill, though, is we have a board approval threshold here. So if you have this checked and then you have a threshold set in here, let's put it at $1,000. This means any bill that's over $1,000, when you hit that approve button, it will go to the board for vote instead of just being approved. So for the AT&T bill, it makes sense that you would want to just have it approved when the property manager or board member approves that bill. Otherwise, for these larger amounts, you want to set a threshold that the board has to vote. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save. Okay, my settings have been updated, so I'm going to go back to my dashboard. And I'm going to go to the invoice approval section here, and this lists across all vendors all the invoices. If you want to see more detail on an invoice, you can click the plus button here, and this shows you all the line items. So go ahead and click approve here, and this will mark it as approved. So I'm going to go ahead and create another bill that's actually a larger amount, and I'm going to go ahead and let's create another vendor here. So I'm going to go to vendors and create a new vendor, and we're going to call this Bob's Pool Company. See, we did a pretty large job on the pool. Good. Bob, Billy. Okay, didn't like that email address. Bob@bobpool. Okay. And I'm going to skip this information here. We don't need to enter all the information for now. So I'm going to go to Xero, go to Contacts. And we're looking for Bob Pool Company. Click this. Go New Bill. And let's say the due date is in 30 days as well. And let's type the invoice number in. Pool. It's not a good pool. It's not a good. Let's just call it labor. And let's enter in. It's $30 an hour, but they did 46 hours, and that's over $1,000. Let's do a second line item here just to show you. Let's enter a new item here, and it's called delivery charge. Let's type in an item name. Unit price is, I don't know. We're just typing in some random information here. Purchases account. I don't think this applies, so I'm going to go ahead and click Save. And let's do one, and we can even change the price if we want to. I'm breaking all kinds of rules here. And we can actually take the delivery information out of a different account if we want to. If we want to put in subcontractors. So I'm making a big mess of this bill here, but let's go ahead and save it and submit for approval. Go back to our financials area. Now once I click on, I can either click on Bob Pool Company, or I can go back to the dashboard and go to the invoice approval screen here. And I can click on the Bob Pool Company invoice here, click approve, and now it's submitted for vote. Before we go any further, we need to talk about the sync utility, which makes sure that all the owners in OwnerGo, these 10 sample units, and also the vendors are synced with Xero. To get started, I'm going to click on the sync utility. It's going to perform an audit. You'll notice here that it says that there are 10 OwnerGo accounts which are not connected to Xero. So we're going to go ahead and click the sync utility here. Now these are existing accounts that appear in my sample Xero account here, and we don't want to sync these up with the OwnerGo, so I'm going to click Next. If you do have some existing accounts in Xero that are for your residents, you can go ahead and connect those to the existing residents in Xero, and if you say you want to Abby's account connects to the sample unit here, you can click Next and it would save it. But for these are kind of junk accounts here. Some of these are for vendors, so we don't want to connect these to our residents. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next without matching any of them. And now it's saying that there are 9 accounts which are not connected. So I'm going to go ahead and click Yes. Now all of these accounts here are synced. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And it's saying I have no unsynced vendors with OwnerGo. So I can now go to the accounting dashboard again and click Go to the Audit. And now it's saying that there are no unconnected OwnerGo accounts. The one thing we do need to set up before we move forward, or we is make sure that all the assessments are set for all the owners. Right now, each owner has $0 set as their assessment, so we want to change that. So we can go ahead and click the Change Owner Assessment tool. clicking on that. Now we have two options here. We can either assess a one-time fee for all owners, which would be for, if there was some sort of large expense and you wanted to assess them to each of the owners as a one-time fee. But we actually want to set the monthly assessment fee, and that's what the audit was complaining about. So let's go ahead and click next. So there's a number of warnings here based on, there's various ways you can set the assessment based on different criteria. Here at the top, you can change the fee based on the current monthly dues. Let's say each homeowner was paying $200 and you wanted to increase that by 5%. You could put 5% down here and it would increase the dues by 5%. Now, because each of these homeowners has 0 set, we can't use that because 0 times 5% is still 0. So it's warning you that we can't use that method. Now if we go down here, we can change the fees based on unit footprint. Obviously increasing and decreasing everyone's monthly dues by percentage is not going to work here as well. There is this feature called target. So if your budget is, say, you have a total budget of $3,000 a month, you can type in 3,000 here, and it will actually calculate for each of the homeowners based on their square footage. If one homeowner has a larger unit, then they would pay a higher fee than the person with a lower square footage in their unit, and it would proportionally set their fees. It looks like, based on this chart here, it looks like every single unit is set exactly the same. So they're all 1,024 square feet. So in this instance, everyone would be assessed the same exact fee based on that. It would be divided evenly amongst the homeowners. And you can also do the same thing with the percentage ownership. Now, it's actually saying here that the percentage is not correct. These sample units that were created, if you add up all the percentages, it doesn't equal 100. So it's saying, hey, you got a problem with your percentages. You need to go in and correct it before you can use this method. So we're going to go ahead and use the square footage. Another thing we could do is go to the top here. We could do a flat rate. So flat rate means you would set everyone's to $200. That would be a very simple way to do it. But I think we're going to use the target income here as the method. So here's asking us for the target date. Let's say you want the dues to be applied, let's say today. So we'll go ahead and click that. We'll click send to board as vote. Okay, so that has set a vote to the board members. So now let's go ahead and click on our sync again, and you see there's still set. Some of the accounts don't have any dues set. That's because the vote has not been voted on yet. So now to actually initiate the votes and view the votes, we're going to log in as our board member. So I'm going to go down here to sample 1. I think when you created if you use this feature where you add the sample units, it tells you have to log out and log back in. I've done that while it's not recording, so I can see all the linked accounts here. If you don't see the other linked accounts, try logging out, logging back in, and you'll see them. So I'm going to go ahead and click on sample 1. So if we go down to his profile, you'll see that he is in fact a board member. Board members have virtually the same functionality as a property manager on the screen, so they can see a lot of different things and set the same settings that you can set. So let's go ahead and go to the accounting screen here, and actually no, we want to go to the board member vote section here. So I click on this, and you see there's 2 votes here. One is for this invoice. Now this is the only board member, so if there were multiple board members, then majority will only be reached if a number of different board members voted. But since this is the only board member, he has 100% power over the whole community, and so his vote is going to actually pass each of these votes. So this one here is basically saying this is about the dues. So it's saying do you want the monthly income to be $3,000 for the community, and it'll be evenly split based on the footprint, square footage of each unit. And it gives you some statistics down here. So it's saying the new monthly income will be $3,000. The minimum assessment is $300 and the maximum is $300 because all of them have the exact same assessment of $300. And it's also saying that the board or property manager will need to notify the homeowners because OwnerGo does not do that automatically. The new dues will show up on their account, but it's up to the board to notify them and explain why the dues were changed. That's the board's responsibility. OwnerGo can't do that automatically. There's also this vote down here on the invoice that we submitted for $1,700. So I'm going to go ahead and click yes for that. It will say the vote has been recorded and the motion passed. You'll see passed here, and this automatically updated Xero, basically saying that the invoice was approved and it's going to process for payment. Now I'm going to go ahead and click yes on this as well, and so that is passed as well. Now if we go to one thing I might point out is the dues change will not take effect immediately until the daily assessment program runs. So if he goes to his account, go to my profile, he's not going to see the monthly assessment just yet. It will apply the next time that the dues calculation runs. So if we go to our account settings here, back to the dashboard and go to settings menu, you'll see that the assessment normally runs on the 5th of the month. Well, it's the 29th of the month now, so if we want to simulate the assessment running, or if you want to manually run the assessment, let's say you miss it for some reason, or there's some reason why it didn't run previously, you can actually go to this Change Owner Assessment button here. There's a force button here. Press the force button, and this will actually run the script that runs your assessment for all your homeowners. Now, going back to the profile, and now you'll see the monthly assessment is set to $300. And you also see his dues are set at $300. It says you owe. You can actually view his account details here. We'll do that in a second. Now, the reason it says overdue is because if you remember, you went to the settings here. Today is the 29th of March. It's the end of the month, and we just applied off schedule the dues. Normally it would be applied on the 5th of the month, but you'll notice in the settings here that the dues are actually due on the 25th of the month, so we're actually late, and that's why his dues show late. It's because we did this kind of off schedule monthly assessment at the end of the month when it's normally done at the beginning of the month. So the number of days here is a little bit messed up with this particular sample account that we're creating today. So again, we're going to go to his profile, and he can click on this button here, View My Account Details, and it will show the essentially this is an invoice in Xero, and he can click on this link here and pay now. Normally, if you have the payment processors set up with Xero, there's going to be a Pay Now button here, and this will link it to your payment processor. Of course, the payment processor will send the payment directly to your bank account, and it will show up and apply the invoice in Xero, and that's all automatic. I don't have any payment processors set up with this particular account here, so there is no button here, but this is where the resident would view this. Additionally, with the payment processors in Xero, if you use certain payment processors, the resident can set up a recurring payment, whether it be through a credit card or their bank account, and so they won't have to do this every month. It will be automatically pull from their bank account. Of course, when they pay their bill, it will show up on here. It will say that the assessment's been paid, and they can see a whole list of all of their payments and their billing history on the screen. So now we're going to go back to the accounting dashboard here. I'm going to go over a few other things on here. We've gone over the majority of the functionality and the majority of setting things up. If you have some bank accounts set up with OwnerGo or with Xero, it will actually show up down here on the bank summary screen. This is updated every 10 minutes. We already went over the budget, the invoice approval. There is a link here to the directory here. There's a specific area here where it has overdue accounts. Now, these are some other, so it's actually saying that these accounts here are overdue by $300 because of what we just talked about here. So they owe some money, and they're showing up on this report. Now, obviously, if someone's in arrears by thousands of dollars, that's when you can choose to take legal action. So if we go back to the financial details here, and there's a account here, there's a link here to log into your Xero account. That's if you're an accountant, or maybe the property manager has a login. The board is probably not going to have a login to the Xero accounting system because you only want certain people to have access to that. We've already gone over the sync. The reserves, as I mentioned before, is a special tool that you can add a reserve study here. You can enter the years, and it will show you some graphs on how you're doing with your reserves. There's more information about that on OwnerGo.com. You can see some screenshots of this tool. And then there's a help screen here, which you can click on, and there are some help topics with the Xero integration that will hopefully answer a lot of your most common questions. So that's it. If we click on sync here, you do another audit, you'll notice that we've actually got all synced up, and there's no unresolved issues with the integration. Everything's synced up. And now any change you make, if you make a new vendor or you add a new homeowner, it's going to automatically create that in Xero for you as well. So you can log into your Xero account and you can see all your residents and vendors synced up automatically. So that shows you kind of how to set up Xero with your OwnerGo account and get it so your residents can view their balances and pay their bills. And also the board members have visibility of the reporting and basically all the financial information in your community.